Hello, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, but you can call me Pajama Grandma. If we haven't met yet, go ahead and put in the comments below or message me #pajama and I will know that we haven't met yet and will determine if that is something that we should do in real life, or not in real life, but in real virtual social media life, or if you can just lurk in the background and continue to watch and see what I do and get to know me. And then when you're ready, you can say pajama or #pajama and let me know that, yeah, you're new here. I don't take it easy on the new people. I just be myself. So that's fair warning, I guess. Today I'm thinking about underestimation. And because I'm thinking about, the reason I'm thinking about that is I've heard that a lot. I've heard that, I think Tony Robbins is probably the first person I heard it from. People they overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in like 3 to 5 years. And I'm sure I have that saying wrong, or that saying or that quote wrong. It doesn't matter. The message is the same. In the short term, we overestimate what we can do. We think we can get a lot more done in the short term than we actually can. But in the long term, we can get way more done than we can possibly imagine. And the reason I'm thinking about underestimated is for one reason today is I totally underestimated the amount of time and work and energy and effort it is to create a full-fledged scavenger hunt course on the front end of my group. And that's all right because I'm just doing it. So it doesn't matter really how long it's going to take, but I thought I could, figure it out, map it out, and knock it out in a couple of days. And what I discovered is yesterday I only got one video done because with everything else going on in my life, like life and my coaching students and my own other activities and people that I want to spend time with, eating. Sometimes we got to eat. Some days we have to eat, exercising, and taking care of myself, which wasn't a priority for me in the past and proved actually very deadly. You gotta realize that sometimes almost everything, I am the same way. Almost everything I think can get done in a certain amount of time always takes way longer. So whenever I think something's going to take a certain amount of time, I should just automatically double it if I need a realistic expectation of how long it's going to take. Now, if I have a clear deadline, I'm very good at estimating and figuring out and breaking down how long each task is going to take. But when it's something I'm doing for myself and for my own business, and I'm just fitting it in and piecing it in, I need to double that time because I probably need 20 or so videos made as this. And I don't have exactly all the videos mapped out. I'll kind of do them because I want to break them into smaller pieces. Yesterday's video was over 20 minutes, and that's a good first one strategically because if people aren't going to listen to the first 20-minute video, then they shouldn't be in the group. Now, all of my videos, I don't want to be 20 minutes. I'd prefer that they be, a lot of them 3 or 4 in little segments for people so they can listen to them when it's convenient for them. But the first one being 20 minutes led me to know that I totally underestimated the amount of time it's going to take to create all of the videos because I'm creating video content for several reasons. Number one, video content, people can't really steal and use as their own. And I don't have a big fear of people stealing ideas and things, but it's also, number two, the fastest, easiest, quickest way to create content and your message and get it out there for people to consume. Now, I personally don't like watching a lot of videos. That was my initial struggle with making videos, is I don't like watching them. I don't want to take an hour and a half or 2 hours or 2.5 hours to watch a webinar or a web class, unless it's something I am super duper excited about, interested in, or it's a problem that I have right now that I need solved. I'm not watching and taking an hour or 2 hours out of my time to do that unless I've got a problem. And that's the people that we're serving are the exact same way. They are time deficient. We are all time deficient. It is by far our most rare resource because we each only have 24 hours in every single day. And it really isn't a time challenge. We like to all, and everybody tells us it's a time challenge, but it's not. It's a priority challenge, and it's a matter of us individually setting our priorities, knowing what's important to us, and spending our time, which is a limited resource, accordingly. Unfortunately, most people don't know how to do that. Most people, including me some days, don't know how to actually manage and budget, and not manage, but make priorities, make choices that honor our time. I mean, people spend much more time worrying about, thinking about, planning, stressing over, and doing all kinds of emotional things over their money than they ever do over their time. I mean, I actually did an exercise at my business one day. I was actually filling in on, because I was short help, I was filling in and I was cooking. It was part of the process. Made handmade ravioli, so I was cooking that day, and I always had a notebook by me, and I was going through it, and I was estimating the amount of time in the last few years that I had actually wasted and lost and never, because once the time goes by, we never recover it. But I was thinking about the amount of time I actually spent on activities that were actually totally wasted. So time in meetings, sorry corporate America, time working in my business instead of on my business. And I was so guilty of that. In all of my businesses, brick and mortar businesses ever, I was so guilty of working in my business instead of on my business. And I actually early on, as I was transitioning to the online business world, I caught myself doing the same things. I found myself, and part of it was, it's such a different set of technology. It's such a different set of skills for me. I found myself, like everything else I do, I wanted to learn and understand it. But at some point I realized, okay, I've learned, I've understood, I've taught it, I get it. There's no freaking way I should be actually doing this for other people as a business. So for example, I don't have an agency. I do help people, but I don't actually create technical sales processes or funnels for them. I don't do the technical side of a software program that I got certified in called ClickFunnels, because although I'm actually really, really good at it, it's not what I love to do. It's not what I'm awesome at. So I actually lead people to who can do that for them if they don't want to learn how to do it themselves. And a lot of people shouldn't learn how to do it themselves. Most business owners, like me, we end up trying to do too many things ourselves, and we get burnt out because we're spending our time doing things that aren't our strong suit, aren't things that we're really good at, aren't our superpower, aren't our area of genius or our zone of genius, whatever people have named it. It's just stuff that we're doing, but we're not really terrific at it. And other people would love doing it, and usually it's something we don't love doing. Other people would be awesome at it, but we're so busy doing it, we don't find the other people and the other resources to actually do that. I was having a great discussion with one of my coaching students the other day, and she was explaining how we were talking about this topic of our time and how we have to set different priorities. And she said that her husband and she had hired somebody to do their lawn. And because they're both entrepreneurs and they're both building businesses and they're busy and they've got 3 kids that they're homeschooling, and everyone in their family and friends group, of course, and even his dad, who's also an entrepreneur, was giving him a hard time for hiring out the lawn done. Well, they can hire out the lawn done for like $30. Now, if it takes them 2 or 3 hours to do his lawn, oh my God, his time as an entrepreneur and business owner is worth way more than $10 or $20 an hour. And we forget to do that in our minds and do that exercise and realize how valuable what we're really good at is versus what we're actually spending our time on. Now, for me, it was really easy to give up housework and give up things like that and get help in those areas, because those are things that everybody thinks they have to do. I thought for 20 years I had to do everything myself around the house. If I was going to be a good wife and a good mom and a good human being, then it was just my responsibility to take care of all of the details of my life myself. And that meant all the chores, all the stuff around the house, of taking care of a family of 4, pets, the house cleaning, plus running my businesses and working in corporate America. Let me tell you, I did it, but I wasn't very happy. I was exhausted, like most women that try to do everything. I was ornery. I'm sure I was not the best version of myself. And I think back to those times, and as much as I loved my kids, I know I was missing out, and I know I was absent through a lot of the experiences that we really should have enjoyed together and connected through, because I was exhausted from trying to do everything. And I know I'm not alone in that. So many women, especially, or single dads, they're in the same boat. And I wasn't a single mom. I was married, but my husband did his stuff and what he thought his roles were, and I did everything else. And I don't know about your relationships and your situation, but in my situation, it was not a fair division of responsibility and labor. It was like a 90-10, which might be why I'm divorced now, but it didn't work. It didn't work for me, and a lot of times we get into things that we think are supposed to be working, and we were like down that rabbit hole so deep that it takes something massive to get us to wake up and realize it and make changes. And that's what it took for me, which has nothing to do with being underestimated. Although underestimation also to me is really funny, because I actually think that the vast majority of my career and my business ownership and my experience and my role now as a pajama grandma, and why I've selected that, number one, it's who I am. I love working in my pajamas, but it's a filtering tool, because I don't want to work at this stage of my life with people that are negative, not go-getters, not motivated, not looking to make the world a better place, not positive, judgmental. I don't want to work with any of those people. So I use a very conscious mask. I guess my robes are a mask, even though they're really who I am. They're a way of filtering out the people that I shouldn't be working with, the people whose energy and whose current state of being is not good for me. And I'm probably not good for them, because I point out how they could be living their life true to who they really are. Because I don't think any of us are really douchebags. I don't think any of us are really jerks or a-holes. I think everybody inside, all human beings are good people, no matter how evil they may seem on the outside. Something in the very core of every human being is positive and good and light. That's what I believe. You don't have to believe it. That's just what I believe. And as such, we're all in a state of finding our own light, our own being, our own, what we're really here to be and do, and how we're here to show up in the world. That's just my belief. And I want to work with people that are a little further down the road of that journey. I don't want to work with people that are super egotistical and arrogant and know-it-all. And trust me, when I was younger, I was that way. I was very cocky and egotistical and arrogant and confident and determined and driven and whatever word you would use. And I suppose most people would say bitch, because in corporate America, if you're a woman in a male-dominated field, I know that I was called many things behind my back and sometimes to my face if they were actually being honest and brave, and I always appreciated that. Because I was more like a guy would act in corporate America, which was really good for my career, but it didn't mean that everybody liked me. And I was okay with that, because I was trying to do what was right for the business that I was working for at the time, because that's what they hired me for. And that's why they hired me, was to do certain things that other people didn't want to do. And that's, again, the underestimation. I think that even today, I find it fascinating how underestimated women are in so many areas of business, life, the world, and everything else. I just find it fascinating, because women are underestimated, but it gives us an actual competitive advantage, because our competitors do underestimate us. Now, I personally believe that if you're doing your thing, the thing that's best for you to be doing, and you're serving people in your own unique way and being yourself, then you really have no competition. I, as Pajama Grandma, I know there's a lot of people that can do what I do for other businesses and do what I do as a coach, but me being me as Pajama Grandma will attract the people that I can help the most, and them being themselves, they can attract the people that they can help the most. And that means I don't have any competition. Nobody else that even is doing the exact same thing as me is my competition, because they're not me. And when I approach my life that way, people underestimate you or they underestimate me, but it doesn't matter, because it doesn't bother me that they underestimate me. I actually see it as a way to win, because one of my core beliefs and philosophies is that we all need to underpromise and overdeliver on whatever it is that we do. Whatever it is that you do for people, don't ever make promises to them that you cannot deliver on, because nothing will kill you and your business and your brand and your confidence faster than making somebody a promise and then not being able to deliver on that. I got that philosophy ingrained into me in my corporate America jobs. I was a quality vice president, but somehow quality vice president meant dealing with all of our customers that didn't pay their invoices, and our customers were Fortune 100, Fortune 50 companies. And I found it fascinating that the bigger the company, the more successful the company, the longer they took to pay their invoices. And after 18 months, it went from the sales department to the quality vice president's job to help collect these funds and get these organizations to pay. Never understood that. But again, people underestimated my ability to make that happen. And so I actually was really good at that and helping them to understand the value that our organization had created for them, and that they needed to go ahead and make good on the past due invoices if we were going to continue to work with them in the future. So I guess I've actually been a bill collector, a corporate bill collector in the past. I never even realized that before. That's funny. Totally. Oh, underpromise and overdeliver. So that gave me, and the reason I found myself in that situation in several different companies I worked for at that level was because the sales departments in almost every organization that I worked for, they believed, sorry, that means I'm talking way too much. They believed that they could promise everything, even if the manufacturing company I worked for was not technologically capable of delivering something. Salesmen would tell people anything to get the sale and get their commission. And then it was for all of the rest of us in the organization to pick up the pieces that they left because of their over-promising things that we were not technically capable of doing. And I could give some examples of that, but it's rampant in all fields, in all industries, that behavior. And I became a very huge advocate and did many sales presentations to salespeople on the importance of knowing what the organization they work for is capable of doing. And there's a difference between a stretch in our technical capability and no one in the universe has figured out how to do this yet. So why are you telling the customer that you're guaranteeing that we can do this? Because we can't. It was crazy stuff. And when you're dealing with, really big companies that have very tight manufacturing standards and requirements, you can't fudge that. You cannot lie to them, salespeople, because it does really come down to lying. When you're overestimating what you can do for someone, you're lying. And you can dress it up with fancy marketing terms and however you want it, but you know in your gut it's a lie when you're telling them that, and you're doing it for your own greedy reasons. And you can't do that long term. You can't do that at all. In my book, you can't do that at all. But a lot of people do it and they succeed in the short term, but in the long term, they don't succeed. All right. So that is my, where my belief about, underpromise and overdeliver. You will always delight people if you are realistic in what you can do for them and in what time frame, and you base your offer to them on that. And then if you do it faster, better, more efficiently than what you told them, guess what? They're always happy. They're always delighted. If I tell somebody it's going to take me 3 weeks to do a project for them and I deliver it in a week, guess what? A lot of times I would get a bonus because they would be so excited that they actually had the finished thing that they needed in a week, even though they had their real expectation. And normally it would take us 3 weeks, but we would then look at our process. Where can we shorten that? Where can we make sure that we're giving them the deliverables that they need? We're actually getting it to them in a week instead of 3 weeks. And when I taught our sales organizations that and that strategy, guess what? Our customer satisfaction went through the roof. Our testimonials and our feedback, no problem getting referrals, word of mouth business in any business that I've ever worked for, because I taught people the power of that one concept. And if they adopted that as their philosophy long term versus the short term get the sale no matter what philosophy, they actually made double and triple and quadruple the commissions they were making doing the old way. So there's so many things like that that we need to remember. So I'm working on that today. I'm not underestimating anymore the amount of time it's going to take me to make the videos for this scavenger hunt for the beginning of my Facebook group. And I suspect that the scavenger hunt at the beginning of my Facebook group will become a course, which is why I want to go ahead and make sure I create all the pieces in a really awesome way so that it can become a more in-depth course for the people in that particular group. Duh. Just makes common sense. I'm really learning about the importance of creating content, and then as I'm creating content, what else can I use that content for? Super powerful idea and concept. And when I first got involved with online things, I just had a blog. And so I would just make a blog post and I would post it on my blog, and I didn't do anything else with it. And now I've learned that in this day and age, you have to give people the information they want or need. We always want to, as experts, give people the information they need. But unless you give them the information that they want first, they're never going to get to the information that they need because they're not even going to notice you. That was a big lesson for a lot of people yesterday in our coaching calls. And pulling people back to focusing on, yep, I know you know what they need, but you can't sell them what they need because nobody buys based on what they need. They buy based on emotion of what they want. And so you have to make them want what you have to offer and then give them what they need when they come into your world. So that is something I'm working on as well with coaching students and myself, because I find that most of the things that come up with my coaching clients are things that I need to see and reevaluate and notice if I'm doing them in my own businesses and in my own activities, my own life. Sometimes things that come up in coaching calls are actually life question things that are things that I need to look at and analyze in my own life as well. So that's it for today. I've rambled long enough. I want to get to I have to do my Expert Secrets group coaching call, and then the lesson for that. And then I also have to catch up on the things I didn't get done for I do a lot of action funnels, which are follow-up email, relationship building messages, and I've gotten a day or so behind because I've had so many coaching calls in what I want to do to continually be building out those sequences for my businesses and my primary customers. And then I also want to make at least a video or two for the scavenger hunt. I'm really having fun with this, and I think it's amazing when we find something that we're excited about and fun about in our business, it just makes it feel like it's not even work. So that's what I'm always striving to discover in my business. That's why yesterday was awesome. It was so many coaching calls, so many demos, so many walkthroughs with people that the day flew by. It was 11 o'clock at night, and I just got off the phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's 11 o'clock at night already, because I usually start my day at 4:30, so 4:30 to 11 went really, really lightning fast yesterday. So when we're doing something like that, life is just so much more fun. So spend all your time doing things that you love, and I will see you tomorrow with a much shorter What She's Up To Now. Bye. What's she up to now?